Stand by. Come on, Marab, you got it. Read the question to me or whatever the brother wanted to say. I've seen Commanding General Yohana love the men that taught him just like this. I've seen him do it, where the men that taught Commanding General Yohana left the truth, believe in some strange religion that's called Christianity under another name. They believe in it, and he still loves them, still honors them, still has the entire nation of Israel pray for them to this day. Still does it. Because that is the spirit of Christ. And if you want to see this done again, you'll see that it was done with Moses in the book of Jude, where there was a conflict between Satan and the archangel Michael. And they fought over the bones of Moses. Give me that, Marav. You know where it is.
Khan Makan, sir.
A great dispute over the bones of Moses. Why? Because Satan knew that Moses had left the truth of Moses. Why? Because Satan knew that Moses had left the truth of Moses. Why? Because Satan knew that Moses had left the truth right before they found the land of Israel. Moses had already given up. He gave up and he was just done with it. He did great things in his past, great things. But right before they found the promised land, Moses left the truth. He was done. He quit.
Let's find that in the scriptures. We're about to go to the scriptures because he's teaching false doctrine. Y'all all heard what he said. He said Moses left the truth. So let's read the scriptures and read if that's in the scriptures he left the truth. Let's see if he left the truth, or was he barren from entering the promised land because he disobeyed what the Lord commanded him to do. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna read what the scriptures say, and then we're gonna link up with see what he's saying is truth. And this is to prove to you individuals out there that follow these men. And I'm approving this lesson. This is why you need to follow GMS, because ISUPK is going off. That man is going off. So before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem HaKakodash. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect. And shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. And shalom to you, sincere sisters that are listening in silence, as scriptures command you to do so. I am the brother Mashiach Arazakah from the Prophets of Good Works camp of Las Vegas, Nevada. And double honors to the elders of the elect of the house of David. And I'm the brother Mashiach Arazakah. And pretty much this lesson is going to be titled as Moses fell out of the truth, bro. Moses fell out of the truth, bro. Now, I did a video, about false prophets, but I want to go into his topic. Everything else of what he's talking about is irrelevant. My main thing is he said Moses fell out of the truth before the promised land. And that's not in the scriptures. Okay? He's using Jude to try to predict that Moses fell out of the truth. And no. Moses didn't make it to the promised land because the Lord commanded him to speak onto the rock, and he got frustrated with the Israelites, and he instead of him speaking onto the rock, he struck it twice, and then the water came out. Okay, he got frustrated with the Israelites, and he struck the rock twice. Due to that disobedience, caused him and Aaron, not even just Moses didn't make it to the promised land, Aaron didn't either. All right, Aaron died, I believe, in Mount Hor, right? So Aaron and Moses, due to them not following those directions, both didn't get to go to the promised land. Moses died in Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, and Aaron died in Mount Hor. And it's crazy because I did a video on this almost a year ago of why Moses didn't make it into the promised land. And a matter of fact, I'm going to put the link for my video in the description box, because I did a video on this topic a year ago. So it's clearly showing that, ye do err not knowing the scriptures. And we're gonna go into this topic because the sheep need to know. I know other brothers did a video on this topic, but I'm gonna do a video on it. All right, Moses didn't get to enter the promised land because he disobeyed the Lord's commandments. The Lord told him to speak onto the rock, and he didn't. Instead of him speaking onto it, he got frustrated and he struck the rock twice instead of speaking onto the rock, man. All right. And we're going to prove that in this video. And this is why we keep telling you, Israelites out there, stop following these men of these other groups that's not teaching 100% truth. Okay? So he said it right here in this video. Now, this video was, uploaded by Elder Manata Zagba. Okay, he did a video on them. And it's called, Recap. Moses left the truth. He said Moses left the truth. Then he said Moses fell out. That's what he said. You can hear it right here, man. He said it right here. He said, why? Because Satan knew that Moses had left the truth right before they found the land of Israel. Moses had already given up. Moses didn't give up. Moses knew when the Lord told him that he couldn't enter the promised land. That's not giving up. The Lord already told him he couldn't get to the promised land. All right. Moses didn't fall out. He didn't give up. He didn't fall out of truth. The Lord told him he couldn't go to promised land because of his act, his disobedience. We read it right here. Numbers. This is why I said the scriptures say prove all things. Let's get out of scriptures. I'm talking about it, but I'm going to get out of scriptures. Listen to this. This is Numbers 20:6. Lord willing is edifying. I'm going to read it slow because people are just being stupid. Numbers 20:6. It says, and Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly, right? And Moses and Aaron, okay? Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly onto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they fell upon the faces, right? And the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. Because when you read 2 verses up, Israel was getting frustrated because they were in the wilderness. They started saying that Moses and Aaron leaded them out there to die because they were thirsty. They needed something to drink. That cattle and that animals was getting dehydrated. Everyone was getting dehydrated. They wandered in the desert for 40 years. They didn't have no food. They didn't have no water. Israel started, you know how Israel is. Israel started, excuse my French, bitching and complaining pretty much. So what Moses and Aaron did was they prayed unto the Lord, and then the Lord appeared unto them. That's what it's talking about. The Lord appeared unto them. And this is what the Lord is going to tell Moses and Aaron. The Lord is going to give them instructions on what to do. Right here. And they didn't do it. Verse 7. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take the rod, right, the staff that he had, right, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother. So it wasn't just just Moses that was commanded to do it, right? But the Lord told Aaron and Moses to do this. Okay? That's what he told them. Moses was supposed to do it, but Aaron was there supervising, as usual, being there to present this act in front of the congregation. So that's why the Lord says, and Aaron there, right? It says, take the rod and gather thou the assembly together, thou and, so meaning you and Aaron thy brother. And it says, and speak ye onto the rock. So they were supposed to speak onto the rock. This say shit about them falling out of the truth, giving up. It doesn't say that there, right? The Lord says, and speak ye onto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou, meaning you, shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron and told them to speak onto the rock, and the water shall flourish, right? The water shall come out and shall flourish. They didn't do that, right? And it's going to say it right here. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. Verse 9. And Moses took the rod. Now this is what he did. He got frustrated with the congregation. He got frustrated with Israel, and he struck the rock twice instead of speaking onto it. He was supposed to speak onto the rock. He didn't do it. He struck it twice. That's what caused him not to enter the promised land. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him, right? Verse 10. Moses and Aaron, right, gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? See, Moses got frustrated, and instead of him speaking onto it, he struck it. He struck the rock twice instead of speaking onto it. Verse 11, and Moses lifted his hand, right, and with his rod, he smote the rock twice. So he's supposed to speak onto it, but he got frustrated with the congregation of Israel and instead of him speaking onto the rock, he struck it, right? It says, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and the beasts also. Now, see, Moses and Aaron disobeyed the instructions of the Lord. Because the Lord told them to speak onto the rock and the water should come out. He didn't speak onto it, he struck it. So due to him striking the rock instead of speaking onto it, this was the punishment for them. Verse 12, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, not just Moses, also Aaron as well. He was also included in that, not entering the promised land. It says, verse 12, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring the congregation into the land which I gave them. Talking about the promised land. They didn't get to enter the promised land. So it ain't got, where in the scriptures does it say Moses fell out of the truth? Doesn't say that there. It doesn't say that he fell out of the truth. He struck the rock, causing him not to be able to enter the promised land. All right? Let's prove it. Now we went to Google. Why did Moses didn't get to enter the promised land? It says, according to the biblical narrative, Moses was barred from entering the promised land because of an act of disobedience. Ain't got shit to do with falling out. And a failure to honor the Most High's holiness at the waters of Meribah, which Meribah Kadesh is near the Dead Sea. Okay, that's where the whole location is, where that incident happened. It says the critical incident is detailed in the book of Numbers and is numbered explainedly in Deuteronomy, which I'm going to get out right now. And then after I read this, the specific details of the event include the command. So the Lord gave the command to Aaron, to Moses and Aaron, telling them to speak onto the rock. Command. It says when the Israelites were complaining about the lack of water, because they were in the desert for 40 years, right? It says the Most High commanded Moses to gather the people and speak directly to the rock so it would yield water. So he's supposed to speak onto the rock. He didn't do that. He struck it. The disobedience. Out of frustration, Moses was frustrated. Out of the frustration with the complaining Israelites, right? The congregation was complaining, right? Moses struck the rock twice with his staff instead of speaking to it as the Most High instructed. That's what caused him not to enter the promised land. Not no fucking falling out of truth. You're using Jude and you're adding to the, you just added to the word, you just went off. You said he fell out. We reading the scriptures why he didn't enter the promised land. They got shit to do with him falling out, man. The Lord commanded him to speak onto the rock, and Moses didn't do it. Due to him not doing that and following the exact instructions on what the Lord required for him and Aaron to do, they didn't do that. So due to them not speaking onto the rock, due to Moses cracking it, it caused punishment for Moses and Aaron not to be able to enter the promised land. That's what happened. The misrepresentation. In anger, Moses also said to the people, listen to me, ye rebels, shall we bring forth water for you into this rock? And I read that. This implied that he and his brother Aaron, rather than the Most High, were the source of the miracle. The consequence. So here it is right here. We're going to see right here if it says he fell out. They have shit to do with him falling out. The consequence, because of the disobedience and failure to uphold the Most High's holiness in front of the people, the Most High told Moses and Aaron, right, that they would not be allowed to lead the assembly into the promised land. So it wasn't just Moses that suffered that punishment. Aaron also suffered that punishment because he was there when the Lord told them what to do. He said, speak onto the rock. Moses didn't speak onto the rock. He struck the rock. Due to him doing that, him and Aaron got punished for that. They both didn't enter the promised land. Aaron died in Mount Hor, right? And Moses died in Mount Nebo. That was the punishment. They both didn't get to enter the promised land. They couldn't enter the promised land. While Moses was not permitted to enter the promised land, right? The people across Jordan River, the Most High allowed him to climb Mount Nebo, because that's where he went, right? To view the promised land from the distance before he died. That's what happened. He didn't fucking fall out of the truth. All that shit you talking about is false doctrine. You just completely taught false doctrine in your video, man. All that shit you talking about is not in the scriptures, right? And it says the Most High allowed him to climb Mount Nebo to view the promised land from a distance before he died. For a deeper breakdown of biblical texts and various interpretations of this event, you can read more. So there you go. That's why he didn't get to enter the promised land. It didn't have shit to do with Moses falling out of truth. You're adding to the word. Deuteronomy 32:48. And the Lord spake unto Moses that self same day. Verse 49. Get thee up into this mountain of Abarim onto Mount Nebo, right? Which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel for a possession. Verse 50. And die in Mount whither thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor. See, so Aaron died in Mount Hor, right? And Moses died in Mount Nebo. So the Lord allowed him to climb Mount Nebo. He was able to see the promised land from the distance, right? But he didn't get to enter the promised land. He died Mount Nebo, right? And it says, and was gathered unto his people. Verse 51, because ye trespass against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, which that's near the Dead Sea, right? In the wilderness of Zin, because ye sanctify me not in the midst of the children of Israel. That's why he didn't get to enter the promised land. It didn't have shit to do with him falling out of truth. It didn't have shit to do with no Satan fighting over his bones. All right? That's not why he didn't get to enter the promised land. None of that shit you talking about over there is why he didn't make it. He didn't make it because he struck the rock instead of speaking onto it. Common sense. Right? Common sense. Verse 52. Yet thou shalt see the land before thee, but thou shalt not go thither unto the land, which I give the children of Israel. So Moses and Aaron, due to Moses striking the rock instead of speaking onto the rock, they didn't get to enter the promised land. So what the hell are you talking about, man? What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? We just proved, going on Google, we got the scriptures out to prove our point. So the shit that you talking about is false doctrine. You made that shit up. He's making it up. And you people over there, ISUBK, that's following them dudes are eating that up and thinking that's correct. That's false doctrine. This is why we say, mark them which cause division. Let me get that. We're not hating on these dudes. We got to defend Yahweh Shai's word, man. We got to defend Yahweh Shai's word. You just went off, man. You just went off. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions, right? And offenses contrary, right? And the word contrary means what? Contrary means being exact opposite, right? It says conflicting or entirely different from something else. So there you go. Contrary, right? Opposite, right? Contrary to the doctrine. So that's opposite. He's teaching something totally false. He's saying Moses fell out of the truth. He entered the promised land because he fell out of the truth. We just read the scriptures that he didn't get to the promised land because he struck the rock. Him and Aaron didn't get, even though Moses did that, Aaron also had to suffer that punishment. He didn't even get to go to the promised land. Due to Moses striking that rock, Aaron also got to suffer that punishment. It wasn't even just Moses. His own brother suffered that punishment. For what Moses did. Because the Lord commanded him and Aaron to speak onto the rock, and he didn't do that. He struck the rock. Due to him striking the rock, caused them to be banned from entering the promised land. It didn't say nothing about them falling out. That's how much these men, they don't know the scriptures. They don't know the scriptures, man. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. This is why it got to be marked, because he going off. He going off, man. He going off. And these people are feeding into this and believing this shit. This is poison that he teaching, man. He going off. He's teaching forbidden fruit. He's teaching forbidden fruit. Right? The corrupt tree bring corrupt fruit. That's what he's doing. And you guys are eating that spoiled, sour fruit. He's teaching, he's plowing wickedness. And you guys are eating it. You guys are eating his wickedness that he's bringing out. He's bringing corrupt fruit, man. And he's going to be, this man, if you don't repent, he's going to be destroyed for doing that. Get back to this.
Of Moses. Why? Because Satan knew that Moses had left the truth.
Nope. You're fucking wrong. Because we went to the scriptures and it gave us exactly the information why he didn't enter the promised land. And it has shit to do with him falling out. And you just said Moses. We just read the scriptures. It wasn't just even Moses that suffered that punishment. Aaron also suffered that punishment. This is how you know he don't know the scriptures. He don't know the scriptures, man.
Right before they found the land of Israel, Moses had already given up.
Moses didn't give up. The Lord commanded him to go to Mount Nebo. He could see the promised land from far, but he couldn't enter into it. We just read that shit. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? You just making up shit as you fucking go in your video. What are you talking about, man?
Gave up and he was just done with it. He did great things in his past. Great things. But right before they found the promised land, Moses left the truth. He was done.
Moses left the truth. He was done. What does scripture say right here? Because this is Deuteronomy 32 and 51. Because ye transgress against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, right? In the wilderness of Zin, because ye sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel, it says, yet thou shalt see the land before thee. So he got to see the promised land. He saw it from afar off, but he didn't get to enter into it though. It says, but thou shalt not go thither unto the land which I give the children of Israel. You see that? Let's read up above. Let's read up above. Right? And it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses that same day, saying, get thee up into the mount of Abiram, right, onto Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel for possession, and die in the mount whether thou goest up. The Lord told Moses to go to Mount Nebo and die there. That's what the Lord said. He didn't say you fell out of truth. The Lord didn't say I'm taking the spirit from you. The Lord didn't say anything like that in the scripture. He didn't say that. Where is what you're saying? Where is that in the scriptures? You can't use Jude. Where is it in Deuteronomy and Numbers? Does it say he fell out? It doesn't say that there. I'm literally reading the scriptures right here, and people can see the scripture I'm reading. Where does it say that there? It doesn't say that in the scriptures, man. You making up shit, and you're gonna be destroyed for doing that. You're gonna be destroyed for doing that. Verse 50. And die in mount. It says, and die in the mount whither thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor. What about Aaron? If you say Moses fell out of truth, what about Aaron? Because Aaron also suffered that punishment. Even though he didn't strike that rock, he still had to suffer that same punishment. He didn't get to enter the promised land. What about Aaron? You're fucking going off over there. Excuse my French. He's going off over there. He's going off over there, man. This got my spirit back in it. He's going off. He's going off, man. It says, and die in the mount whether thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered unto his people. So the Lord told him to go to Mount Nebo and die there. That's what the Lord told Moses to do. He went to Mount Nebo. He got to see the promised land from afar, but he didn't get to enter the promised land. Why? Because of this right here. I'm going to read it again, because this guy is slow. He said he fell out of truth before the promised land. You're fucking lying. Excuse my French. Numbers 20 and verse 8. We'll read it again. Verse 6. Actually, I'll read verse 6. Numbers 20 and 6. And Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces. Right? Because Israel was complaining about being thirsty. They were thirsty. They needed water. Right? They had cattle. They were in the desert for some years. Right? And the glory of the Lord appeared unto them. Right? Because they prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, take thy rod and gather thou the assembly together. Thou and Aaron thy brothers speak unto the rock before their eyes. Ain't got shit to do with them falling out of truth. Lord commanded him to speak unto the rock. Right? And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them the water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts to drink. Right? Their beasts drink. Verse 19. And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded, Verse 10, and Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, hear ye now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted his hand, right? And with his rod, he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. So that's what caused Moses not to enter the promised land. He struck the rock twice. Read it right here. It says smote there. It ain't got shit to do with falling out. Right?
Smote.
Is a statical technique used in machinery learning to handle or imbalance, right? Or be states, right? It says data sets, Salakia. Data sets and artificially generates new synthetic examples. Just reading it, rather than just duplicate existing ones, ensuring project model trains on a balanced distribution. I was thinking maybe I can get something out of this. Smote there, right? Smote is pretty much to strike, all right? Because it literally says right there, right? To strike sharply or heavily, right? Especially with the hand or something held in the hand. To strike something, all right? And he smote. It didn't say nothing about him falling out right here. It said he smote the rock twice. He struck it. And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and there the beast also. And this is what the Lord said unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. So, everything this dude is talking about in this video, he's fucking going off, man. He's going off.
The truth. He was done. He quit.
Going off. He didn't quit. Moses, instead of him speaking onto the rock, him and Aaron speaking onto the rock for the water to come out, Moses struck it, and Moses and Aaron, due to Moses striking it, was forbidden to enter the promised land. And Aaron had to suffer that as well. Even though Moses did that act, Aaron also had to suffer that same punishment. So, hey, you got to be careful for these dudes, because they're not teaching the truth. We just caught them in a whole entire act of going off, teaching false doctrine. If you following them dudes, ISUBK, you need to stop following them, because they leading you in the wrong direction. I highly recommend anybody out there follow Great Millstone Hebrew Israelites. I may not be in a camp, but their doctrine is the 100% truth, and you would want to learn from those men, because those men can lead you into salvation, because they're teaching the 100% truth. I know that. Brothers know that. We all know that shit. Follow Great Millstone Hebrew Israelites. Stop following these other groups that's outside of Great Millstone that's not teaching the same doctrine, because they will lead you astray. They will have your ass bugged out. This dude is bugged out. He's teaching false doctrine. So, hey, hopefully this lesson was edifying, man. This dude is going off. You need to stop following this dude. He's a false prophet. On to the next one. Shalom.